All right, welcome everybody. It's Doug here with the LincolnList.com, and this is the week review for the 9th of March. We're going to take a look at some potential trade setups throughout this week. As always, if you need help with your trading, feel free to visit the LincolnList.com. Take a 14-day free trial to the live trade room. As we go back to last week and we build on what we spoke about with the SPY, really just kind of melting up all of last week and coming up into this 212. This week here we saw a nice little pullback, especially here on Friday where we got some bell-to-bell selling. Now we haven't really seen that lately as far as the market is concerned. You had the buy the dip crowd that obviously came in here, tried to pick a few spots, take advantage of that, but this was one of those days that I said we haven't seen recently where it just kept making low after low after low until pretty much the market closed. Now when we look at the bigger picture and we look at this daily chart, the last breakout before it started to melt up was roughly around 207.20, and when you look at today's activity here, you get down into that 207.20 or slightly there. That's where you really get a nice bounce into the close. I wouldn't say a nice bounce, but you did get some support there. So carrying that over into Monday, I want to pay very close attention to that number. Also, if you look at the daily chart down below, this red line right here is the 50 moving average, which is about at 206 in the low 206s. So also keep that number up. If the market continues to follow through early Monday with selling, or even maybe after the first hour or so, those two numbers could be very pivotal. If they start losing that, we might see something a little deeper to the correction size, maybe working ourselves down to the even number of 200 or this actual bigger support number at 197.47. That's a little ways off, but you never know. Just keep your eyes on both of those numbers. If it comes down in there, we really want to pay attention to how the market reacts to those numbers and where the real support might come in. So a couple of thoughts there with SPY. As we move on to looking at a few stocks, there were still, even though we saw some heavy selling in that pharma space, bio space, as we've seen for the last couple of weeks, there are still some nutty movers with some really, really nice parabolic charts. And if the market would continue to stay weak or just flat, I think there's a couple of really, really nice setups, especially to the short side. First off, I'm going to talk about CLDN. And, if you're one of the people that have been long these stocks, it's been very good to you. You've made some really, really good money. And at some point, the market will always do this. No matter how great a story is or how good a company can be, the market will always drive up prices until they become completely unattractive to everyone and profit taking comes in. Same way to the downside. Market can shove prices down as low to make it look attractive. We got a really nice breakout here, of course, on the 20. You've got some parabolic action. And what I like is the parabolic action. 2 straight days, about a $6 push on this stock. Now, there was a little bit of a drift right here late in the day. So we're going to have to see. I don't want to short this thing if it starts to lose this this late day Friday support of 23.63, especially if that move was to happen in the morning. We've discussed that a lot in these watch lists, that when you kind of go down in the hole, so to speak, shorting down into the hole, you often get snapped back on or spiked on. We don't want that. You want to be able to come, when I'm talking about shorting these stocks, as a day trader, what I'm looking for is intraday ramp up or intraday parabolic moves. So for those that are listening and don't know what that is, where you get these consecutive momentum moves to the upside like this, consecutive green candles, consecutive price increases over and over again, you get a nice little short off of some of these peaks. You can see how the stock kind of drifts off of some of those upper prices, especially if they hit some valuable resistance numbers. This one's already kind of faded a little bit, so we want to keep it. But overall, when we look at the daily chart here, looks like it's about ready to be pulled down a little bit. So I want to pay attention to a couple of these levels, most notably this 23.60. See if that thing gets taken out, how it's reacted to. If it does spike, definitely would look at the highs of Friday of 25.80 to 25.90 as resistance. Also ADX. Now this was a former parabolic that it's doing the comeback move. Like we saw this, for example, with Gene, and maybe years ago you saw this with stuff like OPHC and many of the parabolics, Rose G, for example, where they have their initial parabolic, where they really, really capture most of the momentum traders and they start to short these things. And some people blow their accounts up on these massive moves. And then eventually the overbought status, this is all we're really doing as traders, or at least from my point of view. We're just taking advantage of price fluctuations. It gets overbought. You've got a reason to short, and you get this massive dumpage from 13 straight down to 6, almost within 2 days. It just completely wipes out that move. Now you see over here, it built a little bit of a base at 688. I've talked about this chart. I've got all kind of chicken scratch drawings all over it. Sorry there, but kind of bounces up, and that's to be expected. However, this bounce has now gone from 750 all the way pushing around here to 1252. This is definitely one of the top shorts I have going into this week on the radar. Now, there's going to have to be a couple of things I would like to see. In the perfect world, what would be perfect, at least in my opinion, doesn't mean the trade would work out, but the perfect setup would be if there was any way this thing could just bum rush early and go straight or gap up and just really get close to that all-time high there of 1350s, or this recent high of 1350s, or close. I would start going in as a short. I think that would really line you up for an awesome risk to reward trade, at least if it was just a temporary pullback of 50 to 60 cents. Now, that might not happen, but you do still have several green days here to work from. We've got rejection today off the peak. This is a really nice trade when you see this. Again, showing you here what we look for in the trade room is when these things start to really rip and they start to move quickly away from short-term moving averages. They get a little ahead of themselves short term. People have a tendency to take profits and they'll pull. So you get these nice little peak pullbacks on it. We're going to look at this 1238. We start moving above that early. I really will be focused on a short. Also would consider a short maybe under 1176, but it's not my favorite, as I mentioned with the previous stocks. I don't like shorting down in the hole because usually when that happens, not only do I suck at it, that's number one why I hate it, because most of the times I lose when I do it, but it really tends to snap back on you a lot, so I don't want to get in that habit anymore. But watch this stock here. I think it is going to pull back a little bit. If there's any way we could catch one more upswing on this thing Monday, that would be really awesome right there, ADXS. Also, this KYTH was a big mover on Thursday, backs it up Friday, and when we're looking at this daily chart, you're getting up there steep. You're not the most incredible RSI number I've ever seen. 77, there's still some room to the upside, but maybe the price change, $10 in a 2-day period of time, you may find that hard to continue that. Now, that doesn't mean you won't, because we have seen the pharma space, going back for stocks like Omer, Legend, for example, last week. Those stocks, they put in 3, 4, 5 days, of pretty much like a Legend. Every day was green, and it was significant price change. That one never really came back, so don't rule that out. Still in this time, right now, the beginning of March, we're seeing the hot space is pharma, is biotechs, therapeutics. A lot of these stocks are on the leaderboards, and you can see it. They're out there. Certainly at some time they will pull back like every other sector, like the body cameras, like the Ebola stocks. But sometimes they can really squeeze you out, so you've got to be careful, pick your points. I like to look for some whole numbers. With this one, because of the way these have been acting, I need a little more. I need to move to 55 and a really good strong ramp into that number before I would consider shorting it. There's just a bunch of other stuff out there right now we've talked about in past watch lists. So we'll see how this KYTH kind of lines up. And last, I'm going to throw in a good old-fashioned one. Speaking of pharmaceuticals, LJPC. Now, this was an old, I took this trade several times back here, a couple of shorts, and it's been on an incredible ramp up, really since December, 11 to 23. This thing's almost doubled itself, actually has doubled itself in price. You can see what I'm talking about. You get these long parabolics, makes for some good shorts. Looks like a little bit of ADXS here, where you get the para, fade, and the regear. Now, I haven't been paying much attention to it, just kind of showed up here on a scan late Friday. And this thing, since the 9th, has really just walked up the moving average. Today, just exploded. I'm not really sure what happened here late in the day, but if this move was to happen intraday, I would be all over that short. It's a beautiful blow off top where you get a 22.28, shoots straight up to 23.47 in the blink of an eye. That move almost never sustains itself. Sometimes it does. There is a almost never that it does happen, but I like these as shorts. It makes really good trading for intraday day traders. It happened too late in the day to get involved in it, and we'll see how this move carries itself over into Monday morning. Again, the theme that I've been mentioning is if these stocks on this board can really ramp, or the ones that do ramp up the most or really put in those big parabolics early on Mondays, that's where I want to go with my trades. I want to go into those areas. I kind of want to look for some of the shorts there. And maybe, they haven't really followed the ones I've been talking about here. They've been kind of immune to what the SPY has been doing. Even though we've seen a couple of days of the SPY pulling back, we still have seen these pharmas just kind of blow that news off, or it doesn't really matter. Like they're doing the honey badger thing. They got their own thing going on there, and they're all ripping. So, if the SPY flushes, that doesn't mean it's going to take it down. SPY rips, that doesn't mean it's going to make them go up. They can be doing their own thing like they have been. But if we continue to see maybe some deeper selling, that pressure could easily be translated into some of these names, and maybe combined with some great chart setups, a little bit of luck from the SPY. Next thing you know, you're finding yourself in some 10-bagger kind of trades that put some serious money in your pocket. And that's what we're all about. So if you're really looking, as I said at the beginning of this video, you want to take your trading to another level, take a look at the linkenlist.com. I think what you'll find, what we're doing is completely different than what you're seeing at most places, because it's not a chat room. I don't even want to call it a chat room. Every trade's made live in real time on screen. I'm walking you through the trades just like I'm talking to you right now, except for I'm a little less annoying while the market's open, and I don't rant as much. Maybe during the lunch session, but I usually don't rant that much. But it really helps you in your learning curve to understand, how to find stocks, understanding the movement in stocks, and really being able to play that as perfect as you can. If you're looking to do that, visit thelinkenlist.com, 14-day free trial. Other than that, have a good weekend. Enjoy your trading and have a great week. Take care.